All right, welcome to our first live session, and I'll give everyone just a few minutes, see if we have anyone else coming. This is our first meeting in Zoom, so bear with me on some of the settings, and we'll just give it a few minutes. All right, let's get started. I believe we have one person here. Hi, Ryan. I'm not quite sure where we have a chat box yet. So considering that I am so new to Zoom, as long as you can hear me, that will be great. And hopefully everyone else will let me know too. You can give me feedback if you have any trouble with audio or seeing anything. And what I want to do is, first of all, I want to welcome you all to our first recorded lecture. We'll have one more by kind of towards the end of the semester, wrapping things up. On this one, we have some things to share. This is what's in our recommended items to share. Let me just share my screen with you guys so that you can see it. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. And you can adjust your settings to make everything larger or smaller, depending on what you're viewing this on. But this is what we're told to share, is that just to welcome you all to the first recorded lecture. And you already know who I am because I've been posting in your classrooms for the last week and a half. And just a review of the expectations and letting me know if you have questions. So, like I said, we've already done our introductions, and really the big thing is, why Intermediate Accounting 2? And for most of us, it means that we do have serious interest in accounting. When you get to Intermediate Accounting 2, you have some accountant in your blood by now. Whether it's by choice or necessity, you don't take intermediate to just to be in business. You know, you take accounting 1 possibly to be well-rounded in business, management, marketing, but intermediate accounting 2, we get so much deeper into the topics that usually you are part of some accounting program or are considering that. And just some of the things that we go over in the modules, this screen, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, but again, I'll play around with Zoom because, like I said, it is kind of new to me. The Collaborate we used last semester was a little bit friendlier, but I'm sure it just takes time. So let's go over some of the concepts. Module 1, we had the long-term liabilities and equity. In Module 2, we have dilutive securities, earnings per share, and investments. And then upcoming, we have taxes. And taxes you're going to find as, I think, really just one of the most insightful modules that we have. And considering that it is time for taxes, right, for corporations and individuals, I do a lot of that this time of year, very heavy focus on taxes. And so it's very good timing when you're learning taxes, as it is technically tax season. That doesn't happen to my students very often, but it always makes it more applicable. You might find that people start to come to you and ask you for tax advice even already. Module 4, although there is a whole module associated with accounting for pensions and post-retirement benefits, I have to say that if we look down the road a little bit, let's say even 5 years or less from now, I think that we'd see a lot less of this. And again, that's just my own opinions. There's so few, and what I see, so few pension plans that are out there, unless you're in a government position. Traditional pension plans are so outdated. It's just a topic that I believe most accounting books will start to really make it just a few pages, not a whole module. So it doesn't mean that we don't need it. And if you work in government, you will use it. If you work in maybe, I'm going to say a few of the older, more blue chip companies still have some pension plans out there. But most of the times we're handling just 401k plans, which are not anything like the depth that you have to go to account for an old-fashioned traditional pension. So not to say that it's not important, of course, but those are the topics in the first half of our material. And I wanted to, again, show you that. And also, what I have is a little bit from our readings. And this is just a preview of Chapter 16. What I want to say, too, at this particular point is that a lot of you are reaching out to me, emailing me, and if you have questions, always feel free to do that. I do check in every day, and I want to make sure that you all realize that being an online learner myself, I know what it's like when you write your instructor and somehow you get the impression that they're just sitting there waiting for you to write to them. And I don't say that you quite look at it that way, but I kind of felt like that's all they did. And so I learned the hard way that your instructor, so usually working in the industry possibly, or teaching all the time, something like that. For me, I work in the industry. So of course I check in, then I go to work, then I come home, then I check in again. You may have asked a question, need help, and let's say, for example, you asked me a question on Thursday night and I've checked in for the day, and you may hear from me Friday then when I check in and see what you need. And if it takes any research or any questions I have for you, that could bring it closer towards the weekend. So just a reminder, and it only came up once so far, where someone needed help on a Saturday. I had already checked in that brings them to Sunday, their due date. And so we were unable to get everything cleared up with what they needed help with in time. So, just remember that a lot of your instructors are probably either teaching a lot or in the industry, and so you might have missed their check-in for the day. So I'm always here for you guys, but it's just the timing of when you'll be looking for me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I see it, and we might have a little more information that goes back and forth, and I don't want you to miss any deadlines because of that. So best thing, start early in the week if you think you're going to need anything from me on it. And that's probably the best thing. Just take a look by Friday. Is there something I need? Am I really, really stuck? And again, I found that out as an online learner pretty fast. So let's take a look into Chapter 16, the preview. We have the dilutive securities, which are debt and equity, convertible debt, convertible preferred stock, and stock warrants. Accounting for stock compensation, and maybe some of you have already been privy to some of this as an employee. I know I've been given stock options before, so maybe somewhere you were offered stock options. If you read about it, you'll see why it's a good way to compensate your employees. There's restricted stock. Some companies also, again, you may have personally seen this, offered stock purchase plans for the employees where they can own shares of the company. Again, it's something where you want to be comfortable with. Don't ever feel pressure to do that. Disclosure of compensation plans and debate. And then the last column here, and I'm gonna probably change my mouse pointer for next time I do one of these, but computing earnings per share, the simple capital structure, and then the complex capital structure. So the objectives that you're going to see, if you've read this already, then you're pretty familiar, but this is just some of the topics. Explaining the accounting for convertible preferred stock, how you're going to put that on the books and account for it. Number 3, contrasting the accounting for stock warrants. Describing the accounting for stock compensation plans under GAAP. Number 5, the controversy involving stock compensation plans. And then earnings per share in the simple and complex structure. So debt and equity, we see, should companies report these financial instruments as a liability or equity? And I'm going to increase this a little bit here. So that's just something to think about, but there are those choices. And you can give that some thought and even post it in the forums or let me know. Then we have the dilutive securities, and we see that the convertible bonds can be changed into other corporate securities during specified periods of time after issuance. So that might be something that your firm might want to do. Why would we want to do this? To raise equity capital. And sometimes we don't want to give up control. If you're familiar with any of the scandals, things that have happened in the corporate world, sometimes we like to have debt, and there's pros and cons. There's a lot of pros and cons to debt versus equity, but with debt, of course, the pro would be retaining your ownership control, right? Because those persons that are funding you are not getting shares of the company. They're just getting an obligation that you're going to pay them interest back and their principal back in, let's say, 10 or 20 years, but they don't have any control over the firm. And then number 2, obtain debt financing at cheaper rates. So again, some things to think about, that the finance officer or CFO would be thinking about. And as you read, this is how to account at the time of issuance. A lot of times you're going to see the international perspectives in your book, and I recommend that you look at those because everything that has the international perspective has to do with IFRS, and you are going to work under IFRS rules in the future, even though the convergence project from GAAP to IFRS is not complete, the convergence project. It will be in the next few years, and all professional certification exams do include and require that you know IFRS. So as you see those, it's something, or even if you're in a hurry, stop and look at the international perspectives. And then just an example we have here, we have Miller Corporation and convertible debt issued $4 million par value, 7% convertible bonds at 99 for cash. Well, the 99, if you know the bond terminology, you know that that means 99 out of 100, right? That's the price that they paid for it. And would that mean they bought it at a premium or a discount? It would mean that they bought it at a discount, right? Because it's less than 100. If the bonds had not included the conversion feature, they would have sold for 95. So they could have gotten an even larger discount if they didn't have the conversion feature. And they're letting you know that. And then they're saying record the entry at the date of issuance. So we see that we have the issue price that we paid, which is $3,960,000, because we take the 99%, we said we paid 99% the discount, times the face value, which is the $4 million, and it comes up with the discounted price of $3,960,000. That's the amount of cash that we paid. And then we have to show the discount on our books. Just giving you a small introduction to this, guys. It's not anything too much. I have a couple of videos posted too on bonds on my website. And if some of you have asked for more information, I've directed students there. It's just www.deborahtuohy.com. Spelled exactly like my name, not Dr. Tuohy for this. It's just deborahtuohy.com. And I have a lot on bonds on the site. Not necessarily geared towards your particular readings, but bonds in general. All right. Also, if you wanted any brush up on journal entries, if something in particular that you haven't seen in a while because of any time away from school, you can actually look up from introductory accounting on through advanced accounting right on my site. And it includes finance too, since I have degrees in both. So I collected and sometimes end up teaching both. All right, so we have to account for our discount entry, right? The $40,000, which is the discount, because we have to accrete the discount every period. We have to take that $40,000 and divide it over the months so that we can eventually reach back to the $4 million on our books by the time that the bond matures. And the bond payable amount that we put on the books is the $4 million. So that, I'm going to minimize that, and I will stop sharing my screen too. Again, just a little bit of an overview for you guys just to get you started. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is I really enjoyed listening to everyone in the forums. I recommend that everyone start posting early. If I'm the only one in there for the first day or two, it gets a little dry. It's not as exciting. And do try to get in there early and get the conversation started, even if you're not as comfortable as what you might end up saying by a Thursday or a Friday of the week. I would just start early, just post something in there early, get started. really it just makes it a lot more give and take for you to hear from everyone else. And the purpose of the discussion boards are so that you do get to see how your fellow students word these questions and their responses. Otherwise it would be a written assignment, right? The whole purpose of the discussion board is so you don't always hear it from your author, you don't always hear it from me. Sometimes, and learning has proven that learning can take place very effectively by hearing from your peers, or maybe even realizing where your peers need help. You know, you're not always learning from them. Sometimes they're learning from you. So it's been very, very effective in all universities to have an open discussion forum. So definitely start early as you can in the week, and I do appreciate all the postings so far. Other than that, we just have the weekend coming up. Again, anyone listening tonight, get any questions in, you'll have the best chance of getting everything resolved by Sunday. And I'm going to see if there's a way that I can put up some kind of chat board when I come back on at the end of the session. I have to really get my feet wet with that. I apologize if you had any audio or video issues in viewing the slides or in hearing me too. So I do notice I see Ryan here, and I can't tell. I don't think there's anyone else, but I'm going to post the recording. The recording will take at least an hour to process. And also I want to mention too, for anyone, is that it can take a couple hours till it actually converts to the recording. So to be absolutely certain, if needed, I will have to post it on YouTube. Oh, you were able to chat, Ryan. Oh, excellent. Thank you. I couldn't tell if you were able to chat. I thought I might have had to open a chat box for you and that I just didn't know how. Thank you. Thank you. You have no idea how much better that makes me feel. So I feel kind of bad about that, you know, but again, we've switched 3 times since I've been at the university. We had Adobe Connect last year, then we had Blackboard Collaborate, and now we have Zoom. And it's hard to be an expert at each one when they switch them so often. So I'm glad that you had the chat feature, and thank you. I'm glad that the audio and video came through fine. Again, I had to just get in here for you. Even if I knew that you may not be able to have good audio or video, I had to just jump in and start, right? It gets to that point where I said, let everyone tell me what I need to adjust. And also I was going to listen to it after and see myself where I could adjust. So anyway, again, the recording might take a few hours to process. If so, let me know if you don't see it by tomorrow, all right? And again, my best advice, find me early in the week. And that makes sense, right? You know, I feel really bad when people look for me on a Friday or Saturday. I've checked in for the day. The next thing you know, we're looking at Sunday. You know, the next thing you know, it's almost like a lot of times it would just be so much unnecessary stress for you, and I feel it too, because I feel like I wish I just sat at the screen all day, but I also have to work in my industry too in between. So anyway, it was great to be here with you guys. Thank you, Ryan, for giving me the feedback. I really appreciate that. And I'll know now that the chat box is working. You're welcome. And I will also post my website too. I'll actually put that up, even though it is just deborahchewy.com, so that you can see so much more, so much more. I could keep you guys all night. The website, really, I've been collecting things for about 3 years. The best from YouTube, the best from accounting journals. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And you can vouch for me. I don't advertise anything. You know, sometimes I'm asked, what do you want from it? It's just for my students. There's nothing I want. I don't take ads. I turn them down, nothing. Just for my students and for anyone else that has an interest in accounting. If they come across it, it's not private. But I sometimes find people overseas, whatever, just to share the accounting, what a place to, and thank you. And the school, sometimes the university asks me, you know, because you have to clear it with them. They said, there's nothing you want? I said, no, nothing to sell, nothing to offer, nothing I need. It's a place to store my good material instead of me looking every time you guys ask me, do you have something on this? Do you have something on that? It's kind of my storage place for everything I liked. Some of it doesn't apply, some of it does. It may next year on a different class you have, and you can always, you know, revert back to it. So thank you. And like I said, everyone else, give this a couple of hours to post and process, and I'll see you guys in the forum. And have a great weekend. Have a great night. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks, Ryan. Bye, everyone.